You adjust the thermostat and forget the cold exists. Outside, winter is dangerous. Inside, temperature has become invisible. Now remove the walls, the glass, the heater, the refrigerator, the supermarket, and every modern layer standing between your body and January. What remains is a tropical primate facing wind, darkness, frozen ground, and temperatures capable of killing it before sunrise. That was not an emergency for our ancestors. It was winter, repeated year after year for hundreds of thousands of years. They crossed Europe and Asia during periods when cold shaped the landscape, reduced food, and turned every night into a biological test. The mystery is not whether they survived. Their descendants are everywhere. The mystery is what survival demanded from them. Winter begins inside the body. Human life depends on protecting a narrow band of internal temperature. As the core cools, shivering begins. Thinking slows. Coordination weakens. Below a critical point, consciousness and heartbeat can disappear. The body responds with triage. Blood vessels near the skin tighten, sacrificing warmth in fingers and toes to defend the heart and brain. Then muscles contract involuntarily. Shivering creates heat, but it burns energy at a terrifying rate. Cold demands more calories precisely when winter makes calories harder to find. That contradiction defined the season. Yet the body could adapt. Repeated cold exposure activated brown fat, tissue capable of producing heat without constant shivering. Ancient people did not enter winter with bodies as sheltered as ours. Their physiology was trained by exposure season after season. But acclimatization only widened the margin. No human survives deep winter through biology alone. The first great defense was fire, a controlled reaction that transformed darkness, meat, wood, and fear. Evidence from Wonderwork Cave suggests early humans managed fire inside sheltered spaces long before Homo sapiens appeared. Later hearths in colder regions reveal something more advanced. Fire was no longer found by chance. It was built, maintained, and expected. That difference matters. A natural flame offers temporary warmth. A hearth is a plan against tomorrow. Still, fire had limits. Step beyond its reach, and wind could strip heat from the body within minutes. Ancient humans needed warmth that moved with them. That meant turning animal skin into portable climate. Clothing rarely survives in the ground, but body lice preserve a strange biological clue. They require garments and live in their seams. Genetic studies suggest regular clothing appeared roughly 170,000 years ago, before humans entered the coldest territories. A fitted hide was not decoration. It trapped air, blocked wind, and created a warm boundary around vulnerable skin. The principle later reached extraordinary sophistication in Arctic clothing, where layered fur could preserve life in temperatures far below freezing. Fire heated a place. Clothing heated a moving body. But sleep created another problem. At night, movement stopped, metabolism slowed, and cold received hours of uninterrupted access to the human body. Caves helped when geology provided them. Hearths, bones, and tools show that some became repeated winter camps rather than temporary shelters. But caves were rare. Where stone offered nothing, people began constructing protection from the remains of the animals they hunted. On the Ice Age steppe, mammoth jaws, limbs, and skulls were arranged into circular structures strong enough to support heavy coverings. Specific bones served specific purposes. Curved jaws formed walls. Long bones carried weight. Skulls anchored the structure. Covered with hides and warmed by an interior hearth, these shelters turned an exposed plain into a survivable pocket of air. They were not crude piles of bone. They were houses built from anatomy, geometry, experience, and collective memory. Inside, people sat close together because body heat was measurable energy. Proximity was not sentiment. It was physics. Outside, wind crossed treeless land. Inside, a small flame, layered fur, and shared warmth kept the group above the line of death. Then came the longest hours, darkness sometimes stretching through most of the day. Hunting became dangerous. Gathering produced little. So winter camps shifted from movement to maintenance, teaching, and preparation. Stone points were sharpened. Hides were scraped. Clothing was repaired. Handles were bound. Tools for future hunts were assembled. But the most important work may have happened through speech. Studies of modern forager communities show that daytime conversation often focuses on tasks, while firelit evenings shift toward stories. Around the flame, people recalled distant places, dangerous animals, failed hunts, family histories, and rules that kept groups together. Winter created time for knowledge to become narrative, and narrative allowed memory to survive beyond the people who first earned it. A child could learn where herds crossed without witnessing the migration. A warning could outlive the person who discovered the danger. The fire was therefore more than heat. It was a library without writing and a classroom without walls. Yet stories could not replace calories. Winter survival eventually depended on solving the season's cruelest equation. Greater need, smaller supply. The answer was storage, the ability to carry the abundance of warmer months forward into scarcity. At ancient sites, animal fat appears to have been processed and saved instead of consumed immediately. Later communities used frozen ground as infrastructure, burying meat where cold could preserve it for months. They did not know about bacteria. They only knew the pattern. Frozen meat remained edible, exposed meat decayed. Observation was enough. Winter itself became a refrigerator requiring no machinery, only planning. A successful hunt could therefore feed a group long after the animal disappeared from the landscape. But stored food created value, and value attracted danger. Wolves, bears, and rival humans could smell survival hidden beneath the ground. A winter cache had to be defended. That anchored groups to places and forced them to coordinate access, protection, and distribution. Hoarding became more than selfishness. In deep winter, one person keeping too much could quietly kill everyone else. Sharing was not invented by philosophy. It was enforced by cold, hunger, and the mathematics of collective survival. The season rewarded groups that planned together, guarded together, remembered together, and distributed food before weakness divided them. Winter may therefore have shaped more than technology. It may have strengthened trust, reciprocity, loyalty, patience, and long-term thought. The dark months forced humans to imagine needs they could not yet feel and protect people they would depend on later. That ability to sacrifice now for a future group became one of the foundations of civilization. So how did ancient humans survive the deadliest winters? Not through one invention, but through a system. The body adapted. Fire transformed shelter. Clothing trapped air. Houses preserved heat. Storage moved summer into winter. Stories preserved knowledge. Sharing preserved the group. Every strategy supported the others. Remove one layer and the system weakened. Combine them, and a tropical primate could inhabit frozen continents. Winter was not merely survived. It became a force that trained human intelligence under pressure. It selected for planning, cooperation, memory, craftsmanship, and the ability to build warmth where nature offered none. Today, the cold waits outside behind insulation and glass. We experience comfort without remembering the architecture beneath it. But the old machinery remains. The shiver, the appetite, the urge to gather close, share food, and speak through darkness. Our ancestors survived because they turned heat into technology, scarcity into planning, and winter into cooperation. The warmth around you is not separate from that history. It is the final layer of it. Every heated room carries the memory of a hearth. Every winter meal carries the logic of an ancient cache. And every story told in warmth continues something begun when darkness lasted longer, food was uncertain, and survival depended on listening. The cold did not simply test humanity. It helped manufacture the kind of humanity capable of defeating it.